Hi, it's Kevin May, Editor-in-Chief of PhocusWire. So joined by Michael Levie, the Chief Operations Officer at CitizenM. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us. Now, I remember going to conferences 2 or 3, 4 years back, and there would always be someone from CitizenM speaking, because you were seen, put on this kind of pedestal as a very tech-savvy company, and this is the kind of hotel chain that others should aspire to. Why do you think people held you up on a pedestal like that?
To be real honest, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed is king. So
right, of course, yeah.
I think that hotel companies and technology is not a good marriage.
Right.
So on volume, I think that the larger organization obviously have larger technology needs and do slightly better because they have experts and they're able to hire a little bit by discipline. But by and large, we in the hospitality look more at we need a property management system to handle our reservation and inventory and administration. Okay, so now, is there an RFP or is it just a vendor-led type of, okay, let's go there and do this and that, and then we need a point of sales and we need an electronic door lock and we need a this, that, and other, and then we pray everybody interfaces. And there's no strategy behind technology in our industry. So with us taking a very distinct strategy to link up our technology so it would be scalable and that we would be able to get to our data, I think set us a little bit apart.
Now, do you think perhaps you're victims of your own lots of public appearances now, in the sense that other hotels have finally got it a bit and they're kind of catching up with what you were doing?
No, not really. I think that,
no, it's great.
If Coca-Cola would give their secret recipe, it would be reproduced. I wouldn't say that either we're completely silent and mysterious about what we do, or completely open. But I think that we have taken the approach that, there's more people with different needs and executions in the industry, so it's not direct competition always. So we have been very open and participatory in conferences in different aspects. But do I see a big following where people really get what it is that we're doing with technology? No, not really.
Okay. And
maybe here and there an exception.
Yeah, quite. So, I mean, what would you say is probably the most unique thing that you've done as a chain that's part of your DNA that you're probably most proud of in the way you operate?
Well, I think that when we set out with our strategy, we clearly defined a couple of areas. So on-premise, what do I do with in-room technology and my networks? 2, what type of systems do I need to have in order to facilitate the processes appropriately, whether that is operating or for the guest. Distribution we do quite differently. We don't do segmentation, so we don't have a contract. We're basically, brokering our own inventory. So those are 3 different areas that you really need to service differently. And I think it sort of has led us down a path whereby we came to understand that if you're dependent on a supplier to reach to the next stage where you want to be and our unique setup, we were held back and slowed down. And it was not till Nick Price, our CIO, started to work with iReckon and create a middleware layer, so a service bus, both on-premise and cloud, that we started to see an independence and a speed process. So if one couldn't deliver to us, there was plenty of opportunity to realize our aim with others. So we became more agile, and I think that we were able to use a different set of companies.
Okay, and your distribution strategy, as you say, is quite unique. I mean, how has that played out with the distribution partners, the channels that you use, and the conversations that you've had with them?
Well, I think that a lot that happens today in distribution is that the industry, by and large, stays in its segmentation mode. So we still do corporate contracts, we still do volume group sales or volume business. And then there is the remainder that sort of goes out there and that people fight for. And then obviously, there is a lot of opportunity in distribution land to hook onto. What I fail to see is that people really have a good understanding of what their cost associated is. So we, although use the uniform systems of account, we basically look at gross sales, at our distribution cost, and then net sales. So we become better to see at what channels actually contribute to our profitability. That's one. And secondly, what we do is we lump everything that we do in order to attract business into that distribution cost. And the only thing that doesn't go in there is our commercial director, Leonard de Young's salary doesn't go in there, but everything, really everything else goes in there. And we're able to measure that really and allocate what type of activities and costs we do per reservation, per channel, and learn. And that, I think, sets us free.
And how have you seen, just final point on the distribution side of things, we're forever writing about such and such battle in hotel distribution, and it's OTAs versus hotels and all this kind of thing. And presumably you kind of sit and watch this all play out and think, what on earth are they all going on about, or what? Because you've got like you said, you've got a unique way of looking at it.
It's almost like when you run a marathon and you've set a time for yourself.
Right.
Then concentrate on aiming for that. And that's a lot already to ask for, that you don't necessarily look around you as to who's beating you or who is where. At least we don't. We're very focused. Now, that doesn't mean that we're not worldly enough to see what's going on around us. No, that's constantly what we monitor. But I think that our actual execution and approach, that's very to our own, and we don't necessarily compare ourselves too much.
And I sense that you probably think the hotel industry generally is very inward looking, when it would probably needs to be fairly outward looking.
Well, I think that's an understatement. I think that we're so far behind and unfortunately very undereducated that we as an industry evolve so slow. And if you see what happens with every other industry around us, it's an exponential, growth and speed and agility. And we still, are trying to decide whether we should give Wi-Fi for free. So maybe I put it a little bit too extreme, but yes, it's very inward. And I think that if we start to understand that our guest basically adapts to a certain lifestyle and they basically dictate what they like and what they don't like, and we should be able to play into that, because then we become relevant.
And then it's just a clever combination of technology and guest expectations, and hoping that they kind of meet in the middle and they don't become two separate things. It's just the experience, right?
Yeah, I think that as recent as a couple of days ago, I was advising for a hotel school, and there was a huge discussion on whether the hospitality should use technology or not, because technology is so impersonal and the hospitality was what it was all about. And I think that we need to recognize today that technology is an enabler. So let's use it to be practical, and if it is done well, we don't notice it. Great. And hospitality is something different. That's a smile. That's hi, how are you? Come in. I mean, what can I do for you? It's a whole different connect. So I think that two complete different worlds. One can help the other, absolutely, and there is a relevance between the two, but there's no competition.
Yeah, you just hope that the humanity shines through in the end.
Absolutely.
Right. Okay, Michael. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.